Yesterday, I drove through a town that doesn't exist, and I have the dash cam footage to prove it. That's how I started the post on Reddit 2 weeks ago. It got deleted in under 10 minutes. And that's when I realized, whatever Iron Creek is, someone doesn't want us to find it again. I grew up in Wyoming, long, empty highways, flat land, and a sky that never seemed to end. I'm not easily spooked. But a few weeks ago, when I was helping my nephew with a geography project, I noticed something strange. We were looking for Iron Creek, a small town where I used to visit my grandparents. Population maybe 400, one grocery store, one diner, a church, and a gas station that still used mechanical pumps. But when I typed it into Google Maps, nothing came up. No road signs, no businesses, no coordinates. It was as if Iron Creek had never existed. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Towns get renamed, right? So I zoomed in manually, trying to find the crossroads, the lake, anything familiar. But all I saw was gray, not even satellite texture. Just an empty patch, like someone erased it with a digital brush. I called my mother. She grew up there too. When I mentioned Iron Creek, she went quiet for a few seconds. Then she said, "You mean Iron Ridge?" I laughed. "No, Mom. Iron Creek, Grandpa's town." She didn't answer. Then she hung up. That's when I started digging. Old newspaper archives? Nothing newer than 2012. Local history blogs? Every mention of the town ended abruptly that same summer. Even the zip code, 82713, came up as unassigned. It was like the place had been deleted from reality. Then I found something I can't explain. On a forgotten message board, someone had posted this, dated August 14, 2012. If you're reading this, don't follow the road past mile marker 47. It loops back on itself. You'll see the same house twice, but the second time there won't be a door. The user's name, Iron Creek Local. No other posts, no trace of the account anywhere else. That same night, I opened Google Earth again, and for a split second, maybe half a second, the gray spot flickered. A town appeared. I saw rooftops, a church steeple, a single main street. Then it vanished. I tried refreshing, zooming in, changing layers. Nothing. It was gone again. But I couldn't shake what I'd seen. I remembered a quote from one of my grandfather's old letters, written before he died. The map only shows what the world still remembers. So I packed my camera, my drone, and my dash cam, and I decided to drive there myself. I don't know if Iron Creek ever disappeared. All I know is, when I got there, it was waiting for me. Left before dawn, heading north along Highway 59. The air was sharp, still cold from the night. The road stretched endlessly, cutting through the empty plains. For the first 2 hours, there was nothing, just dry grass, wind, and the hum of tires against the asphalt. Wyoming had always felt empty, but that morning, it felt hollow. The GPS lost signal before I even reached the halfway mark. I tried refreshing it, but the map froze. A single blue dot, stuck in gray nothingness. The phone buzzed once and went black. No service. Mile marker 47 appeared just after noon. I slowed down. Someone had scratched something into the sign, barely visible under a layer of rust. Letters, jagged and uneven. Turn back. I kept driving. The landscape started to change. The fences along the road ended, the power lines tilted. Some snapped in half like broken ribs. A faint mist hung over the road, though there were no clouds. The temperature dropped several degrees, and even the sound of my engine seemed quieter, as if the air was thickening. At mile marker 51, I saw the first house. 2 stories, white paint peeling, windows intact but empty. A rocking chair swayed gently on the porch. moving without wind. I slowed, but didn't stop. A few miles later, the trees grew denser, pine and birch, all leaning slightly toward the road, like watching. The asphalt turned rough, cracks spreading like veins. Then, as I came around a bend, I saw it. The town. Iron Creek looked exactly as I remembered it. The church spire, the diner, the general store with its faded Coca-Cola sign, even the red water tower on the hill. It was all there, perfectly preserved. But it was wrong. The light didn't move. Shadows stretched across the road and stayed that way, as if the sun had forgotten to pass over. No birds, no wind, just the faint buzz of power lines that shouldn't still have power. I parked on Main Street. The tires hissed softly against the gravel. The air smelled faintly of iron and something sweet. Old wood, maybe. I stepped out, leaving the engine running, because some part of me didn't want silence. The storefront windows were dusty, but clear. Inside the diner, plates sat on tables, half-finished meals frozen in time, coffee mugs, napkins, a half-written bill near the register. Every clock I saw showed the same time, 2:17. That was the exact moment the gray patch appeared on Google Earth, I remembered. I walked further down the street, calling out once, nothing. My voice echoed back, too slow, as if bouncing through thick glass. On the corner was the post office. The door stood open. Inside, mail was scattered everywhere, envelopes yellowed but untouched by weather. I picked one up. It was addressed to someone named Harold Mills, but the return address caught my eye. Iron Creek, WY 82713, postmarked August 12, 2012. The ink looked fresh. Behind the counter, the radio clicked on by itself. A burst of static, then a faint voice. I couldn't make out the words, but it sounded like numbers. I leaned closer. The sound sharpened. Coordinates. They were being read slowly, monotonously. When I checked my GPS later, those coordinates pointed right where I was standing. Then the static changed. The voice said my name. I froze. It wasn't distorted or distant. It was clear. My own voice repeating, "You shouldn't have come back." The radio cut off. The lights flickered once, then everything went still again. I ran out of the building, heart pounding. Main Street looked the same, calm, untouched, lifeless. But something had shifted. The sky seemed darker, even though the sun was still there. I looked toward my car. The headlights were still on. There was someone sitting in the driver's seat. The figure didn't move at first. It just sat there, motionless, hands on the wheel, head tilted slightly, as if listening. The glass reflected the pale light of the overcast sky, hiding its face. I took a step forward. The gravel crunched under my boots, too loud in the still air. When I reached the driver's side, I saw it clearly. It was me. Same jacket, same stubble, same small scar on the chin from a bike accident years ago. But his skin was pale, almost gray, and his eyes were open wide, unblinking, as if frozen mid-thought. I stumbled back, tripping over the curb. The engine was still idling, the dashboard flickering, faintly, with static on the radio. The copy of me turned its head just a little, mechanically, and then the engine shut off by itself. Silence. The sound of my own breathing filled the air. When I looked again, the seat was empty. I yanked open the door. Nothing. The keys were still in the ignition, but cold, as if they hadn't been touched in hours. Then I noticed something odd on the passenger seat. My notebook. The same one I'd left at home on my desk. The first page was open. My handwriting. "If you're reading this, you're already here twice." I didn't understand what it meant. I looked around. The street was still deserted, but something about the angles of the buildings felt different. The diner now had no sign. The clock tower that had read 2:17 now showed 2:18, just 1 minute. But that was enough. I decided to leave. The rational part of my mind screamed that this was impossible, that I must be dreaming, hallucinating, anything but real. I started the car and turned back down the main road. The tires spun in dust that didn't rise. For the first 10 minutes, the road was straight, familiar. Then I saw it. The same house as before, with the rocking chair moving on the porch. I slowed down, my pulse pounding. I'd taken the same road out. It shouldn't lead back to the same place. I kept driving, faster now, desperate. 10 minutes later, I passed it again. Same house, same chair, now still. The window curtains had changed color. By the third time, I was shouting into the empty car, trying to drown out the sound of my own panic. The dashboard clock was stuck at 2:18. I slammed the brakes and stepped out. The air was colder. My breath fogged. I walked up to the house. The front door was half open. Inside, the air smelled faintly metallic, like rust and rain. On the wall by the staircase hung a mirror. For a moment, it was empty. Then a figure appeared in the reflection. Behind me. It was the same version I'd seen in the car. But this time, he was smiling. I spun around. No one! When I turned back, the reflection was gone. But something else caught my eye. In the mirror's surface, faint letters appeared, as if written from the inside of the glass. Stay until you remember. My heart hammered in my chest. Remember what? I stepped back outside, disoriented. The street was darker now, the edges of buildings blurring as if dissolving into fog. I could hear faint sounds, footsteps maybe, or whispers, coming from nowhere and everywhere. I ran toward the car, climbed in, and turned the key. The radio came to life immediately. A voice spoke through static, quiet but clear. You can't leave until we forget you too. Then everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was sitting behind the wheel again. The sky was bright. The road was empty. The GPS was working. Iron Creek wasn't behind me or ahead. There was no sign the town had ever been there. The hum of the engine was the first thing I noticed. It sounded normal again, steady, real. Sunlight spilled through the windshield, too bright after the gray stillness of Iron Creek. For a moment I thought I'd dreamed it. The road ahead stretched clean and empty. The GPS screen was lit, showing the blue line back toward Casper. Everything looked right. Too right. I drove in silence for nearly an hour, afraid to even blink, watching the road signs pass by. Buffalo, KC, then the turnoff toward home. The clock on the dashboard read 4:32 p.m. Finally, I told myself it was over. When I reached my driveway, the world felt quiet again, but in the ordinary way. The same cracked pavement, the same mailbox with peeling paint. Home. I went inside, dropped my keys on the counter, and opened my laptop. Google Maps loaded perfectly. No gray patch, no Iron Creek, just open land. I wanted to tell someone, maybe post the photos I'd taken, the coordinates, the footage, but when I checked my camera, every file was corrupted. White static. No sound. The only working clip was 30 seconds long, the one where I'd seen myself in the car. I deleted it. For the next few days, I tried not to think about it. I went to work, called my mother, did everything to convince myself that Iron Creek was gone, that I'd imagined it all. But then the small things began. The first was the road sign. When I drove to the store one evening, The street corner near my house had a new sign. Iron Creek Road. I'd never seen it before. Then came the noise at night, faint static, like a radio left on in another room. I followed the sound, but it always faded before I found the source. Once, I thought I heard a whisper between the static. My name. By the end of the week, I couldn't shake the feeling that something in my house had changed. The shadows fell at different angles, the air felt heavier, and the mirrors, they didn't line up anymore. When I looked at myself, the reflection blinked a moment too late. I tried to call my mother again. The line rang once, then a voice answered, my own. You came back too soon. The line went dead. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my desk, staring at my laptop. Without thinking, I opened Google Maps again. I zoomed into Wyoming. The gray patch was back. But this time, it wasn't over Iron Creek. It was over my neighborhood. I zoomed in further. The map flickered, once, twice, and then the names of the streets began to vanish. Each one faded, replaced by others I'd seen in Iron Creek. Main Street, Church Lane, Depot Road. The last thing to disappear was my own street name. Then the map froze completely, showing a single pin in the middle of the screen. It read, Iron Creek, WY 82713 coordinates, my home address. I sat frozen. The static returned, louder this time, coming from the speakers even though they were off, and underneath it, faint but unmistakable, was my own voice repeating over and over. The map only shows what the world still remembers. Then the lights went out. When the power cut out, the only light left came from the laptop. The screen still glowed faint blue, showing the map of my street, but now the view was shifting on its own, like someone was dragging the cursor across the map from the other side. It zoomed closer to my house, closer, then inside. The satellite image refreshed once, and I saw my own living room, the same desk, the same open laptop, and me, sitting there, staring at the screen. But the image wasn't still. It was moving, updating in real time. I waved my hand, and on the screen, he waved back, one frame too slow. For the first time, I noticed something behind the reflection on the laptop's glass. A figure standing just behind my chair. No face, no features, just a human shape made of static. The laptop fan began to whine, louder and louder as the image zoomed further in, until the map was gone, and all that was left was the live feed of me, sitting motionless, with the shape leaning closer. Then the screen went black. I don't remember getting up. The neighbors said they saw my car parked in the driveway with the engine running all night. When the police came the next morning, the house was empty. No signs of struggle, no sign of me. Only the laptop was still on the desk, open to Google Maps. The screen showed a single, blinking, red pin, somewhere deep in the Wyoming wilderness. No roads, no landmarks, just the name of a town that doesn't exist.